And I benefited from a lot of experience this week getting ready for this. I misread the memo and thought that I had to do my presentation in 5 minutes. Now my presentation, when I sit down with a customer like yesterday, can run an hour and a half, and I'm thinking, how am I going to speed talk this in 5 minutes? And I'm throwing out all the slides I've got. And then I reread a memo from Eric, and he said, no, it's 15 minutes. So I added a bunch back in because I was going to talk a lot about ROI. Well, then I saw where I was on the schedule, and I got here today and realized I was going to follow John, who has that great study from Sacramento where it really validates the whole concept of GPS for saving money. So I pulled out the charts that I had that would have been relevant for that, because I didn't want to repeat that. And then Tom comes up from Fuel Master and puts up the full ROI model of all the things that you're looking at as you're looking at fuel consumption and looking at that OBD data and getting all that information about what happens in your world of fuel, which is one of your top costs. Well, then I pulled out all of that stuff because there's no need to repeat that. In fact, I think that what they're doing is fantastic. What we do, and what we'll take you through real quickly here at our approach to ROI, is that from the time that vehicle leaves until it's back again to refuel, you as managers need to know how that vehicle is being used and whether it's meeting the goals of your mission in terms of asset utilization. So I'm the government sales manager for Trimble Navigation. I'm here with Bob DeRosa from back here. We cover the whole country with 2 product lines. We'll talk a little bit about what that does at the end. But this is not a sales pitch. This is really just going through that validated concept, which is GPS technologies. Every time we come to the shows, we see, as John said, 2 or 3 different vendors. There are literally hundreds of GPS solutions out there, but that's because it is such a high ROI. And I encourage you, even if it's not Trimble, I encourage you with your fleets to look into this and make use of GPS technologies because there's a super payoff with it. And just a quick note on our company, Trimble has been in the location-based technologies since 1978, one of the first players in AVL technologies. We're a $1.5 billion corporation. We have over 5,000 customers, and the company has, I think, over 700 patents in GPS technology. It's a leader in the field. Our chips are used in a number of other competing products. We have a lot in the construction business and surveying. Whenever you see a Caterpillar grader with a GPS mast on either end of the blade controlling the grading, that's an application of the Trimble technology. In the farm and agriculture industry, it's used for plowing the fields, knowing where the seeds are planted, so that when you put down fertilizer, you're only fertilizing where the seeds are, cuts down on environmental impact. And we are a leader in the white van market in terms of AVL technology for fleet tracking, which applies very well to public works kinds of operations where you're going on a different route almost every day and you need to be able to update during the course of the day. You can model this issue of fleet management in any number of ways. We tend to look at it in sort of 8 categories. When I go and do my full presentation, we go and explore each of these and what the various ROI impacts are. But all of it comes down to providing you with the information that you need. And you've got a daunting task there. You've got a fleet of 300 vehicles that heads out in the morning and you don't know where they are. You do because you have technology in place. But you want to have an understanding of how it's being used, and you want it to be done in a way that's affordable. Well, I've sort of broken this into 2 sets of concerns, sort of the soft cost information and then hard cost information. Wanting to put it all on one page, we can argue about the prioritization of any of these items. I think each organization has unique situations, but I think as you go through that list, you see that there's, this is where the money's being spent. You've got these top 3 issues for running the fleet. You've got the fuel costs, the personnel, and the asset utilization costs. And how do you measure that in a way that you can report up for looking for new budget money, for justifying the acquisitions, for justifying the size of the fleet, and making decisions to downsize when appropriate. And that information is coming out of knowing how the vehicles are used during the day to meet your mission. So you're going, you can visualize where the fleet is. You see on the network fleet screen, you can see where all those vehicles are. You can see locations. You can do geofencing. But it lets you know where the fleet is and, over the course of the day, what it's accomplished. Where it's been, the length of stops, the position, velocity, and time, the speed it's traveling, which allows you to do a lot of things in terms of optimizing routes and making the best use in terms of fuel consumption, because you start cutting down on that big piece of fuel consumption is idle management and speed management. Every 5 miles of an hour over 55, you're cutting your efficiency of the engine by about 5%. So you can see the impacts, particularly out here where you have such nice high driving speeds. You can start seeing that managing speed is an important component. When you look at total fuel savings, and John's numbers are probably very similar to what the network fleet guys have, and our numbers across the industry, you're seeing ranging from 15 to 30% in fuel savings alone. So if you look at what your fuel budget is, what's your fuel budget?
Well, I wouldn't have any idea.
Maybe else.
6.5 million.
6.5 million. So you could cut 1.3 million out of those costs by better managing the activities of the fleet, establishing baselines, and then using this as a coaching tool to improve that. You're going to get improvement by cutting down, by having more efficient routes. You're going to cut down on the amount of mileage accrued and improve MPG by speed management. Being able to report that information, everybody is charged with a lot of paperwork. That's one of those soft costs, is the amount of time that you spend putting this information down, making it available up your management chain, and by using telematics, you've automated that process. And you're shaking your head. I mean, it does save you time. So tying in with what Fuelmaster does and what all of us are doing is we're looking at the OBD data so that you have real-time information. And with the onboard telematics, it is real-time. So if an alert goes off from one of your OBD sensors is giving you a sensor code, we're translating that into English language, telling you what's going on, and that's an alert that goes to dispatch so that an action can be taken before that vehicle perhaps gets damaged. Because preventive maintenance is a whole lot cheaper than reparative maintenance. Now, we have 2 essential product lines that we provide. This is our little sales pitch. GeoManager is the side of the business that I'm involved with, which is very similar to what Zonar does and Network Fleet. It is the full soup to nuts software as a service solution, where you go to a website, you've got user IDs that can then visualize and report on the activities of your fleet over the course of the day. The other product line that Bob represents is the Placer product, very popular with fire, police, public safety organizations, because we take advantage of having radio communications in those vehicles so that you don't have the cellular component of the cost. We've got full range of customers. I've had a couple of calls this week that have gone very well. I'm going to be back out here in about 3 weeks. I'm very interested in following up with any of your organizations. If you're just sort of dabbling in GPS, or you're starting to think seriously about getting into it, we can explore that. We can explore that by looking at how you run your operation right now and see where the points are where we can have an impact that allows you to pay for these services literally within 60 to 90 days. One of our competitors who's not here quotes, when he goes and factors in soft costs, he quotes 1,500% ROIs. So over the course of a year, you're definitely fitting this within your budget because it will pay for itself before the end of that first year. And then the ongoing costs, and you know this, it supports itself just in savings. As well as answering those questions about what's happening with the fleet when it leaves the building here. Any questions? Thank you.